Shalom B'nai Yisrael, my name is Tal, and in this video I will be discussing the Hebrew calendar, specifically time, as it relates to the days of the week and the creation. On the Hebrew calendar, a day is a period of time lasting about 24 hours. Now, one calendar day consists of both evening and morning. The evening begins at sunset and ends at sunrise, and it's about 12 nighttime hours, depending on the time of the year, when it is dark. The morning begins at sunrise and ends at sunset and is about 12 daytime hours, or when it is daylight. The morning also includes the afternoon. So put those together, it's 24 hours equal 1 day. On the Hebrew calendar, a day actually begins in the evening at sunset and lasts approximately 24 hours until the following sunset. For example, the first day of the week on the Hebrew calendar is called Yom Rishon, and when comparing it to the Gregorian calendar, Yom Rishon begins on the preceding sunset of what we call Saturday and runs until the following sunset of what we call Sunday. And this is an agreement with how the days were ordered by the Almighty, Elohim. And we find this in the Torah in Bereshit chapter 1, verses 3 through 5. And I'll read, "And Elohim said, Let there be light. And there was light. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good. And Elohim divided the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day." So we see from the example in Scripture, the Almighty set up the day for the evening to precede the morning. A day on the Hebrew calendar is unlike the day on the Roman, Origin, Julian, and Gregorian calendars. The Romans were a pagan Western culture, and they did not have a relationship with the Almighty, the Supreme Creator, so they ordered their days as they saw fit. The day on the Julian and Gregorian calendar is a 24-hour period beginning at midnight and lasting until the following midnight. The Julian calendar was implemented by Rome's first emperor, Julius Caesar, in about 44 BCE, and used by successive Western civilizations from 44 BCE until 1582 CE, when the Gregorian calendar was adopted. The Gregorian calendar was implemented by then Pope Gregory. Most of the world today follows the Gregorian calendar, especially for business. When it comes to competing in business, most of the world follows the Gregorian calendar today. They may have an ecclesiastical or religious calendar for religious practice, but they're still governed by the Gregorian calendar, especially when they have to compete in an international arena. Prior to the Babylonian exile, the B'nai Yisrael divided the day into 6 parts. Each part was about 4 hours each. In the evening or nighttime hours, they were divided into 3 watches: the first nighttime watch, the second nighttime watch, and the third nighttime watch. A watch represented the time a guard was kept at the temple in Jerusalem. The morning or daylight hours were divided into three parts: morning, noonday, and dusk or twilight. The following are the approximate hours of the 24-hour day kept by the Bnei Israel according to their divisions. First, we have the evening or nighttime. You have the first nighttime watch, which started approximately at 6 p.m. or sunset and lasted until 10 p.m. The second nighttime watch started at about 10 p.m. and lasted until around 2 a.m. The third nighttime watch started at 2 a.m. and lasted until 6 a.m. or sunrise. And in the morning or daytime divisions, you had the early morning, which lasted from sunrise 6 a.m. to around mid-morning 10 a.m. Then you had what was considered noonday, which began 10 a.m. and ran through to 2 p.m. And then after that, you had the dusk or twilight hours, which was from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. or sunset. After the Romans conquered the Bnei Israel and the surrounding territories in about 63 BCE, this was done by General Pompey, the evening was now divided into 4 watches, lasting 3 hours each instead of 4. The ancient Bnei Israel used the sundial to determine the hour of the day during the daylight hours. Daytime was divided into 12 hours. The sundial is a timekeeping device that indicates the time of day by the position of the shadow of any object exposed to the sun's rays. And on the right, you're going to see the sundial of King Ahaz of Yehuda or Judah, who reigned from 732 to 716 BCE. And there is a shadow that is cast at a specific position in the sundial, and that shadow is coming from an object called a gnomon, which is in the center. And the sundial used in ancient Israel had 12 carved lines in it, and each line indicated an hour of daylight. And depending on the position of the sun, it cast a shadow which could let them know what time of day it was. For the daytime hours, the ancient Bnei Israel expressed time as the number of hours post sunrise. Now, on the right, I have a visual of a clock from the ancient Hebraic perspective, and the number of hours are expressed in blue. We have them there in blue. And in red, we have the hours that we use today, AM and PM. In ancient Israel, the first hour post sunrise corresponded to what we know as between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. today. The third hour post sunrise corresponded between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. as we know it today. And the ninth hour post sunrise corresponded to between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And as we know from the Besorah, or the Good News, also known as the Gospels, our Messiah Yeshua, was crucified at the third hour between 8 and 9 a.m., and he actually died at the ninth hour post sunrise between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. The ancient Bnei Israel did not divide hours into minutes and minutes into seconds until after the Babylonian exile. While in Babylon, they learned to use the base 60 numeral system for minutes and seconds. That is, 60 seconds equal 1 minute and 60 minutes equal 1 hour. This base 60 numeral system, which still governs us today, was developed by the ancient Sumerians, who were the precursor to the ancient Babylonians. When the Babylonians succeeded in the Sumerian territories, the Babylonians kept the base 60 numeral system for keeping time. And lo and behold, ancient Hebrew timekeeping is still being used today in some African cultures. The clock on the right is not upside down. This is actually a biblically accurate clock. And these clocks are used in Ethiopia today. Ethiopia uses a 12-hour clock system like the ancient Bnei Yisrael. Time is expressed as the number of hours after sunrise or after sunset. For example, 9 a.m. would be expressed as the third hour post sunrise. 9 p.m. would be expressed as the third hour post sunset. So yes, Hebrew timekeeping is still alive today somewhere in the world, in Africa. Now we move on to the week. On the Hebrew calendar, a week is a cycle of 7 24-hour days. Now, these 7 days mirror the account of the 7-day period of the creation found in Genesis 1, verse 1 through chapter 2, verse 3. In Hebrew, the days are named after the day number on which they fall within the 7-day week. Only one day of the week actually had a proper name. The 7th day, or Yom Shevi'i, was also known as Yom Shabbat. The week begins with the first day, Yom Rishon, and ends with the 7th day, Yom Shevi'i, or Yom Shabbat. The following are the names of the 7 days of the week on the Hebrew calendar, their pronunciations, and their equivalent on the Julian Gregorian calendars. Starting with the first day, in Hebrew, Yom Rishon, which corresponds to sunset of Saturday until sunset of Sunday. Next, the second day, or Yom Sheni, which corresponds to sunset of Sunday until sunset of Monday. The third day, Yom Shlishi, which corresponds to sunset of Monday until sunset of Tuesday. Then we have the fourth day, Yom Revi'i, which corresponds to sunset of Tuesday until sunset of Wednesday. Next, the fifth day, Yom Hamishi, which corresponds to sunset of Wednesday until sunset of Thursday. Next, Yom Shishi, which corresponds to sunset of Thursday until sunset of Friday. And finally, Yom Shabbat, or Yom Shevi'i, the 7th day, which corresponds to sunset of Friday until sunset of Saturday. Take a closer look at the 7-day week as it relates to the creation. The 7 days of the week actually mirror the 7-day creation week found in Bereshith chapter 1 verse 1 through chapter 2 verse 3. Through science, we learn that the creation of our universe occurred over millions of years. Each day during the creation week may not have been a literal 24-hour period as we see it. Now, the Torah does not contradict science. One day from the Supreme Creator's perspective may be thousands or millions of years from man's perspective. A natural process, such as the formation of an island, that would have been completed in thousands or millions of years for man, would have been a mere hours or minutes for the Supreme Creator. The Supreme Creator is eternal. Man is not, And this is confirmed in the scriptures, as we see in Psalm 90, verse 4. For 1,000 years in thy sight are as but yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night. Now let's start with Yom Rishon, the first day of the creation week. On Yom Rishon, Elohim created light and separated light from darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And then he gave the order of the day. Evening and then the morning would form the first day, and this would follow for the remaining days of the week. And we find this first ordering in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 through verse 5. And just a note, the word Elohim, and this is the term that we are given for the Supreme Creator during the creation narrative, the word Elohim has multiple meanings, including the Supreme Creator, deities, as in the deities of other nations, angels, judges, rulers, human judges and rulers. Within the context of the creation of the universe, the word Elohim means the Supreme Creator or the Almighty. Next, Yom Sheni, or day 2 of creation. On Yom Sheni, Elohim created a firmament separating the waters above from those below. He called the firmament the heavens, or Hashemayim in Hebrew. The firmament shields the earth from other extraterrestrial objects. And we find this in Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter 1, verse 6 through 8. The third day of the creation week is Yom Shlishi. And on the third day, Elohim formed the seas, dry land. He created vegetation, including seed-bearing plants and fruit-bearing trees. The minimum conditions were necessary to sustain life on Yom Shlishi, or the third day. And we find this in Bereshit, chapter 1, verse 9 through verse 13. On the fourth day of creation, Yom Revi'i, Elohim created the celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, and the stars. He placed these celestial bodies in the firmament to give light to the earth. The sun was assigned to give light during the daytime, and the moon to give light during the nighttime. Now, these celestial bodies were to serve as signs for appointed times, the Moedim. Now, in the King James Version, it says seasons, but in the Hebrew, it's actually Moedim, and also to serve signs for days and years. We were supposed to use the sun, the moon, and the stars to track time, especially for the timing of the Moedim. And we find this in Bereshit chapter 1, verses 14 through 19. On day 5 of the creation week, Yom Hamishi, Elohim made the birds, the water animals, including fish, sea monsters, and other living creatures, and he commanded these creatures to be fruitful and multiply on the earth. We find this in Bereshit chapter 1, verse 20 through verse 23. On day 6 of the creation week, Yom Shishi, now this is not to be confused with Yom Shlishi, the third day. On Yom Shishi, day 6, the sixth day, Elohim created the land animals, including cattle, creeping things, and the large beasts. He also created mankind, male and female, and he gave mankind dominion over all the earth and the animals. And we find this in Bereshit chapter 1, verses 23 through 31. Yom Shevi'i is the seventh day of the creation week, and it is the only day of the week on the Hebrew calendar that actually has a proper name, Yom Shabbat, or the Sabbath day. Yom Shabbat, or Yom Shevi'i, is the last day of the week. On Yom Shabbat, Yom Shevi'i, Elohim ceased and rested from his creative work. He also sanctified the seventh day because he rested from his creative work. And as Elohim rested on Yom Shabbat, the seventh day, so should we. And he gives us a command in the 10 Commandments to remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. He provides the example that we must follow. Please like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel. Please click on the notification bell to receive notifications when we post new videos. Please also visit our website at byinitiative.com. Thanks for watching.